I'm Halle Blankenship, Miss Idaho Collegiate America 2023, and this is my interview with the Pageant Project.
Hello, everyone. It's Adrian from the Pageant Project with you. My special guest for today is Halle Blankenship, who is Miss Idaho Collegiate America. Halle, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. I feel honored that you asked me to be on your show. I watch it all the
It's a
time, so.
it's a pleasure. I've interviewed, I think, a few of the. For me, it's a bit difficult to keep track of which pageant is which, only because I'm interviewing so many different pageant girls from different systems. You're part of Miss Collegiate America, but let's go back for a sec. I was just telling you about Boise, Idaho, and how I'm looking at it on my screen over here. Tell me, I don't think I've interviewed, and I apologize if I'm wrong and offending anyone out there, but I don't think I've interviewed anyone from Idaho before. Not anyone who lives in Idaho. I
Yeah.
think someone said they were from Idaho, but they're not. So tell the people watching or listening, and obviously they could be from anywhere in the world, a little bit about Boise and a little bit about Idaho.
So I'm actually not from Idaho. So I moved out here about almost 3 years ago for college. I attend Boise State University in Boise, Idaho. Um, it's really close to downtown where the campus is, which is really nice. I love Boise. It's just a small city and it feels truly like a community. I think there's only like 200,000 people that live here. And it's very much a
Wow.
mountain desert climate. So a lot of people come out here for hiking, skiing, snowboarding, you name it. And the temperatures definitely vary throughout seasons, but I do love that we get all 4 seasons out here, even if we get hit with them harshly.
What's your favorite season?
Summer for sure.
Okay. All right. So we can still
Yeah.
be friends then. I don't
Yes,
understand
yes.
people who
I
have the
love
favorite
summer.
season as
I know. I would say fall is a close runner-up to summer for me just because my birthday's in the fall and my favorite holiday is Halloween. And I love when football season starts here on campus. It's super fun. Everyone gets really excited about it, and so does the whole city. So it's super awesome.
what did you dress up as Halloween? What did you dress up as for Halloween last year?
This last year actually, I forget that that was 2022. It's so
Yeah.
crazy.
Hard to keep track.
Um, I dressed up as an angel, and I had an event at a local orthodontist where I handed out candy to children who came by. They had like a little carnival. So I helped with like a ring toss game, handed out prizes, and I wore instead of my crown, I wore an angel halo and wings, and then my sash. So it was kind of mismatch, I guess, of being Miss Idaho and then dressing as an angel.
What's your favorite Halloween costume ever? I ask this because Halloween really is not that big here. Well, it's getting bigger in Australia, but like 20 years ago, Halloween wasn't even a thing here. And we're just kind of getting into it now. So I'm curious as to like your favorite Halloween costume ever.
Okay, my favorite one ever isn't one that I've ever worn, but my little sister, she's only 2 years younger than me, so it's weird that I call her little, but she dressed up as Scooby-Doo, like the dog from the Scooby-Doo show, and
Yeah.
she was like in third or fourth grade, and she had on like a full like Scooby-Doo like suit where it was kind of like a onesie where her whole body was covered and just her little face was peeking out and she had like the head over top. It was so funny. And her friend dressed as Daphne, the
Yeah.
redhead purple
Yeah.
girl. It was hilarious. I remind her about it all the time and she's always like, "Stop it, no," but I love it. I think it's so awesome.
Are there photos of
Yeah, there
this? Like,
are. I wish I knew where they were. I would have to really go deep into my phone. I have so many pictures on my phone.
well, I mean, you said you dressed up as Scooby Doo. Was she crawling around on all fours or just
No, she
walking
was
around?
walking, but that'd
Okay.
be funny. I wish
I
she really committed to it like that.
I was going to say, I mean, if you're going to
Yeah,
get into the costume, yeah, you
I
have to
know, you
commit
might as
to it.
well go all out, right?
Absolutely. Can I just also say there's a lot of different backdrops when we interview. I
Am
love
I
your
to be back?
backdrop.
Oh,
It
this
says
side.
Babe
Opposite.
Babe Cave. Yeah, it's flipped.
Yeah.
Babe Cave, and you look like you have like a collection of sneakers. Looks like there's a Converse there.
Yeah.
What's going on
Yeah.
back there?
Sorry, I don't know which way to. Oh,
That way,
there.
yeah.
You can
There you
kind
go.
of see it. Oh, this way. Yeah, so I have some of my shoes up in here, but then I have so many pairs. I keep some in my closet. There's some by the front door. Not all the slots in there are filled right now, but the ones that I wear most often, like the Converse, and if I need heels for sorority events or anything, I keep them right there too. But the Babe Cave thing I got freshman year of college because I thought it was cute, and I've just put it up every year.
It's cool. I need to get something similar
Yeah,
for
yeah, right.
myself. Maybe not Babe Cave, but I mean, it's just like because you're a pageant girl. What that's how I found you. I was expecting if someone had something like that, it'd all be heels and Chinese laundry. I love the fact that at the top you've got Converse. So I mean, like on a daily basis, are you wearing? Would you rather wear Converse or rather wear your heels?
Oh, Converse for sure. I'm great at walking in heels, I think, but yeah, I'd rather be comfy. Comfort over everything.
you picked a strange hobby. If you want to be comfort in everything and you go into pageantry, pageantry is not known for
Oh,
being the
so
most
uncomfortable.
comfortable thing. I mean, you got
Yep.
crown on the head, so you got a headache. Dresses which can be quite form fitting, so you can't breathe, and then you got shoes which kill your feet. So you chose
Yeah.
I mean, on that note, how did you get to this into this very uncomfortable hobby of pageantry to begin with?
Yeah. So I've always been interested in wanting to be a role model for other people. I've always been interested in leadership, all that jazz. So I started out in competitive dance. I finished that all the way through my senior year of high school, started when I was about 6. I got reached out to by Pageants Northwest, which is a production company for
Yep.
Miss Washington USA, Oregon, Idaho. And so they just send out the generic, oh, you should try this out message. You fit the eligibility and
Yep.
criteria. So I begged my mom to try it when I was 16, and she was kind of against it at first because, the typical stereotypes that
Okay.
surround pageantry. And I was so into dance that I don't know if she wanted me to branch into something else.
Yeah.
But I tried it and I placed in the top 10 or top 11, I think, at the time. And I got my dress a week before. I did no preparing. So I thought, you know what, if I could make the semifinals without really doing much to
Yeah.
prepare myself and, just throwing a dress together, throwing everything together kind of chaotically, I might as well keep giving this a shot. I like to say I got bit by the pageant bug. I
Yeah.
Once you start, you can't stop. So that's where it
Yeah.
started and I'm still going.
I'm going to imagine that you take it more seriously now. I mean, like more
Yeah,
seriously.
yeah,
I mean,
completely.
some of you pageant girls are like a whole year getting prepped for their
Yeah.
for your next pageant. You envision the dress, national
Hmm.
costume, or fun fashion, and then white parties and all this, and like your plan.
Hmm.
And it's like you keep it like a closely guarded state secret. So I imagine
Hmm.
it's a little. The preparation is a little less haphazard now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, completely. When I first started, though, my attitude was more so that I wanted to try something new.
Yeah.
I really had no idea what I was getting into. I never thought I would be doing something like this today because I honestly wasn't the most confident girl. I had braces up until I was 18, 19 years old. I had a big gap in my teeth while I had braces too, while in high
Yeah.
school. So that was
Yeah.
really awful too. So I feel like sometimes when I started, I would almost get mocked a little bit by my peers. They would be like, "Oh, here's
Mm,
Miss America," because I wasn't necessarily the prettiest or the most popular girl at school, and I had these messed up teeth, so you wouldn't
yeah.
think that I'd be out there doing a beauty pageant.
Sure.
Hmm.
Do you still do the competitive dancing side of things?
Not anymore. I wish I still did. Unfortunately, COVID cut it short for me my senior year. I was
Right.
going to try out for my university's dance team, but at the end of the day, I was so overwhelmed and I had no studio space during COVID to film
Mm,
anything. So I
yeah.
was like, you know what? I'm just gonna call it here. I still love dance. I'll still take classes, but the competitive aspect is kind of mentally draining a little bit too. I feel like doing it because you want to do it um, kind of keeps the passion alive rather than I'm competing to do this. So try and be the
Yeah.
best, you know?
Yeah. When you say competitive dancing, what style of dance was it?
Honestly, everything.
Everything.
Ballet, jazz, lyrical, contemporary, modern. I would spend my summers going to different states with summer intensives. So I would go with
Hmm.
different ballet companies and study with them, starting when I was 13, all the way till I think the last one I did, I was 16 or 17. I've been to Arizona. That's the one when I was 13. I went by myself for 2 weeks, had to figure it
Wow.
out, live in a dorm, learn how to do my own
Yeah.
laundry. That was mind blowing to me at 13.
Yeah.
And then at 14, I did Ballet Austin. So I stayed at the University of Texas campus, studied ballet for 4 weeks. I did it again the
Yeah.
next summer. And then when I was 16, I went to Chicago by myself and studied under
Wow.
Hubbard Street Dance.
Hmm.
Stayed in Chicago by myself. While I was doing Hubbard Street, I also was doing a national dance competition. So, like a think like a national pageant, but for dancers. You're
Mm.
competing for a big title, and you're able to compete for that title by winning like a regional scholarship that allows you to do
Wow. Okay.
so. So, I was competing for the all-star dancer title for Dupre dance competition while also at another program training. So I would have to Uber back and forth all over
Wow.
Chicago by myself. It was crazy, but very rewarding.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to say that that's brave of you. I mean, I know a lot
Yeah.
of 30-year-olds who wouldn't have the guts as a young lady to be living by themselves and Ubering everywhere. I used to be a tennis coach at an all-girls school, and we had a lot of not dancers training next to us, but gymnasts, which is
Mhm.
some similarity, right, in terms of the intensity with which you guys train. I imagine similar for you. I mean, I'd be lucky if I could get our most talented tennis players in twice a week, and then you'd have all the gymnasts there just 5 times 6 times a week, the artistic gymnasts, the rhythmic gymnasts. With dancing, I just wanted to ask, obviously pageantry has some negative stereotypes. Dancing has some similar ones, I think, particularly in terms of body image,
Mhm.
eating and being told you're too fat when you're really not, etc. Did you encounter any of those sorts of issues yourself in your competitive dancing?
Oh, completely. Especially when you're some of those stereotypes become true when you're looking at yourself
Yeah.
in the mirror every single day. It's really hard, and dance can, for a lot of people, become a really toxic environment because of the
Mm,
competitive nature, because you're in a leotard and tights and you're staring at yourself all day. So I think people would kind of have some, I guess, negative assumptions about me and my health. I would get told that I looked anorexic or sick a lot. I've just always been a petite, skinny person, but I
yeah.
love eating. I will never
Yeah.
give up food for anything. So I always eat, and like especially with dancing, my metabolism would just be going all the
Yeah.
time. So I would need
Yeah.
to eat. But when you're built a certain way and you do a certain sport, people look at you a little differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
I used to get told I was too skinny all the time growing up, but I'd love eating. It was just that I was playing
Yeah,
tennis and running
I'm
around
just
all the time.
small.
And yeah, well, when you do that, you have a certain, also when you're younger, you have a certain metabolism. You
Yes,
can eat
certain
pretty much whatever you
metabolism.
want and you
Hmm.
just burn it off. I have to ask, because this is a pageant interview, what is your favorite food?
Pizza, for sure, or sushi. I can't pick between the 2, honestly.
Those are probably
Very
what about
different.
pasta? Like pizza,
Oh, I
sushi,
love
does pasta rank in
pasta.
there?
Yeah,
Okay,
pasta
because we
does
have
rank
to.
in there. I love Italian food, for
Okay,
sure.
we yeah. Who doesn't love Italian? Like
I
I
know.
if you ever meet anyone and they don't like Italian food, I'm really like, or you
I
don't
know,
like
I'm
sushi, I'm like, what's wrong with you?
questioning it, yeah. No, I always put on all my, resumes for pageants that I'm a sushi connoisseur. I could literally eat it all day long. I don't know, it's just always my fun fact that I like to throw out because maybe someone could relate.
I have to ask though, when you say sushi, what kind of sushi? Because there's so many different kinds of sushi. And I was
Mhm.
interviewing another young American, and she said she loves sushi, but then she only eats like the ones with cooked stuff in it. Which to me over here in Australia, that's not really sushi. Like sushi is with the raw fish,
Mhm.
etc., etc. So what are we having on our sushi?
I definitely go more towards the raw fish. I love tuna, so anything
Oh
spicy
yeah,
tuna roll, like
nice.
seared tuna, salmon. I'm kinda weird, and I guess this isn't traditional, and I'll like cream cheese in my sushi too,
Okay.
like the salmon cream
Yeah.
cheese rolls. I really
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
those a lot. Yeah, but I'll eat any kind. Mostly the raw fish though. I don't
Okay.
really like the cooked sushi rolls.
Yeah. I will say the cream cheese is a weird one. It's
Yeah,
obviously
it's
not
weird.
authentic, but then when you eat it, it does taste good.
Yeah.
So it might not be authentic, but it tastes good. The other question
Mhm.
I have to ask, favorite pizza topping?
Oh. Okay, well my order normally for mod pizza. I don't know if you have that around
Okay.
you. So it's like these it's like this pizza chain and it's like a kind of fast food pizza where they just like you put all your toppings on that you want, they throw it in a pizza oven and then it's out in like 5 minutes. I
Oh
get
wow. Okay.
sausage, bacon, onions, pepperoni, artichokes, and
Oh, okay.
olives. So I like a lot of toppings. I like a fully loaded pizza.
But you sound like a bit like a foodie if you're putting artichokes on. Only a foodie
Yeah,
would put
I
artichokes on her pizza.
yeah, they have artichoke hearts at the place that I go to like down the street from me. So I always just I like to add it because I
Wow.
really like artichoke hearts.
That is such a niche.
I
I
know,
don't
isn't
know if
that
it is
funny?
like, but it's like I love artichoke hearts, but I've never heard of anyone putting it on a pizza before. Which actually, now that I think of it, it's a great idea.
Mhm.
Another pizza question I really have to ask you, and it's very controversial, but pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
I knew you were gonna ask that. I have to say no. I'm
Good.
very much a savory instead of
Yeah,
sweet kind of person, and the combo kind of bothers me and seems wrong,
yeah.
putting a tropical fruit on my pizza. I just feel like that's I don't know, I don't love it.
I I feel the same way, so I'm
Yeah,
glad.
glad you do.
But you just said something quite interesting, savory rather than sweet. So are you one of
Mhm.
the few girls who would rather have something savory than sweet? Because everyone in pageant land obviously is a chocolate addict. So are you one of the rare exceptions?
I do love chocolate and I love ice cream. That's probably my go-to dessert if I
Okay.
have to pick one, but I'm the type of person where I'd rather have a second dinner than have dessert because I'm again, like I said, very savory instead of sweet. So that's definitely my go-to.
After all this conversation about eating, can you cook?
I like to tell people I can.
That's not really a
I
yes or no.
there's a okay, yeah, that's true. I didn't really answer the question. There's a few things that I have down that I could cook, but I'm not very well versed yet. I definitely need more
Okay.
practice on different recipes.
Okay. Please
Mhm.
don't tell me one of those recipes is toast or a soft boiled egg.
Oh, no, no, no. No, no.
Okay. Okay, just wanting to clarify.
My favorite thing to make, I don't know if you ever saw it on TikTok. It kind of went viral during COVID, like during like the lockdown part of pandemic, sort of. Gigi Hadid's spicy pasta with the red pepper chili flakes. I make that all the time. It's super easy too, and I love it because I like we talked about. I love pasta. Who doesn't, right? So I'll make
Yeah.
that. One of my friends makes a really good corn salsa, and I totally stole it from her, and I make that now too.
Wow.
I'm good at cooking chicken. I need to get more well versed, try more things.
Sounds good. Become
Mhm.
adventurous.
Yeah.
We have a question here because we are talking about physical appearance. So Pooja has asked, to what extent do you think physical appearance matters in pageants?
Ooh, that's a great question. Um, I think obviously in the origins of pageantry, it was the main focus. And unfortunately now I really think it is a stereotype that I'll reach out to girls for competing for next year and they're like, "Well, I don't fit that typical beauty
Mm,
queen standard." And I'm like,
yeah.
that's not necessarily the most important thing anymore. And that's what I love about doing pageants is you meet so many women from all walks of life that everybody looks different. Everybody's their own person, so I don't think it matters as much as we like to stereotype it as. Um, I think the most important thing is, you know, your message, what you want to spread as a title holder for the year, or you know, how relatable you are. I think that one's
Mm,
really important is relatability
yeah.
for a title holder. And your interview is one of your highest scores, so they want to see who you are. So I think the most important thing is, you know, being true to yourself. I know it sounds cheesy, but it really is the most important thing, and that's what I've figured out through doing pageants is it doesn't matter, do I have the most expensive dress, do I have the best hair and makeup, do I
Mm,
have the best this and that, am I as good as this girl? there's only one you in there in the interview room, and maybe it's your opportunity this time for the judges to see that. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. Maybe it's
So
your
good.
opportunity, maybe it's not. Maybe it's time for another girl. So I also think it's really important that goes into, like the sisterhood aspect, and being happy about other people's success too.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think obviously it still matters, but it doesn't matter as much as it used
Yes.
to. And I think it does
Yeah.
depend on the system as well. For some
Hmm.
systems, I mean, you can see it in the score weighting, on some,
Hmm.
the on stage. I was going to say the on stage components weighted more, but even that doesn't necessarily mean appearance. That can be
Yeah.
confidence and all
I
sorts
would
of
say it's
things.
more overall presentation. That's what I would
That's true.
kind of call it.
That's
you know
very
your
true.
your poise on stage, how you carry yourself,
Yeah.
commanding a room. Like, it goes back to
Mm,
me doing dance. I was successful with dance. I When I was younger, I was really, really bad. Like, I was the worst in all of my groups, but then I kind of decided, look, I want to be good at this. And I remember specifically, I had one audition where I was 12, where I decided, look, I want this. I may not be the best technical dancer in the room, I may not be able to do all the flips and kicks and splits, but I'm going to command these judges to want to pick me. And then they picked me. So, commanding a room, I think, is important too.
absolutely. When it comes to, I mean, you were a competitive dancer, so
Hmm.
just with opening number, do you find that really easy, really difficult? Like, can you just basically fall asleep and memorize the dance? I have to imagine for you it's quite
Yeah.
easy as
Yeah.
opposed to other
Opening
people,
number is typically pretty easy. I usually just watch the video maybe
and then
once or
you've got it.
twice and kind of just go to the practice, and kind of like when we try it, I like start to pick it up more and more and like get the little details. But yeah, I definitely learn from watching something. So watching the video is really important. I don't necessarily always need to put motion to it, because I can kind of like have that connection in my head already.
Yeah.
So
Do
yeah.
do you so do you have any tips for us people who have two left feet and like the dancing is the most feared part of
Yeah.
pageantry, like how to memorize the dance? Because I got no idea.
I would always, when I was trying to remember a really complicated combination, I would do it in little parts and drill it over and over and over again in those,
Okay.
like 10-second increments versus the minute long number. Or if I had to watch a video and learn something and it was flipped the other way around, because that's
Mm,
something that I always have a hard time with, is
yeah,
understanding direction if
yeah.
something is mirrored. So I would go into my bathroom. I would flip my computer to face the mirror, and I
Oh,
would like
wow.
watch myself and the video
Yeah,
do it, so I could get every single detail and make sure that it's correct. So I would definitely say that's a tip for learning opening number. If you can't watch it
yeah,
from the front and mirror it, because I know sometimes they'll show a video from the back, but you can't get every detail just from watching someone from behind dance.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
where the hands are, the arm is, or what count it's on. So yeah.
yeah. No, that's a really good tip. I used to do the
Hmm.
same with tennis coaching because you could watch someone hit a shot like on a video, but it would be
Hmm.
flipped. So some people are okay with that. For some people, it was more difficult. I just want to bring up your Instagram because you're talking about the being a role model. So I know that the Collegiate America system has Brave, and
Yes.
I'll get you to go over over Brave, what it stands for, what it is. But I just want to go through all these school appearances that you've started doing. Can you talk us through some? I like this one, for example. Talk us through what's happening here. You have a captive audience.
Hmm. So this was a first grade class. I've been at Jefferson Elementary a lot lately. Their counselor at their school is awesome. I did uh s- oh, that was the first one I did there. I did that, and then a sixth grade presentation. She sat in on my sixth grade presentation and then was like, "Oh my gosh, can I schedule you for all of these appearances?" And I
Yeah,
was like, "Oh my gosh, of course you can. I want to spread my message." And Jefferson happens to be a Title I school, which means that at least 50% of their students are on free and reduced lunch. So they have great staff, but it makes my heart hurt that they may not have the resources or the
yeah,
examples of, showing kindness. Students could get bullied for maybe having a free lunch, or,
yeah,
special things that they get at school that they can't get at home. So I think driving the building respect and values message of building, oh my gosh, building respect and values for everyone brave message, sorry, is really important because, I think it's important for everyone to have that same opportunity and same resource. And I really just want to inspire others that maybe one of the little girls sitting um, in, I guess, the audience in the classroom watching me
Yeah.
could, do what I'm doing one day, because I always looked up to older girls and maybe pageant
Mm.
title holders as somebody I wanted to be, someone I wanted to be like. So I really want to set that example for them, that being kind is cool. And I talked to them too in class about, um, maybe recognizing that some of us have been bullies before without realizing it or not. I tell them that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're relentlessly targeting some kid on the playground or beating
Yeah.
somebody up. It could mean
Yeah.
that you go home and you're mean to your sibling, or maybe you
Yeah.
had an off day and one of your friends is kind of bothering you and you say something not very kind to them. So addressing that, everyone's kind of been in that situation where they maybe have been unkind before is important, and it's okay to recognize that and that they're not in trouble, but it's just a normal part of life, and that we can
Yeah.
only stop bullying at its source. So I also talk about how hurt people. Just being kind to everybody, especially your bully, is super, super important because, again, like I said, we have to stop it at the source.
Mm.
And somebody who's bullying someone else has something going on in their own lives where they feel like they need to project it out onto you, to tear
Yeah.
you down. And I also talk to these kids too about how bullying still goes on between grown adults. It doesn't just magically
Mm.
disappear like sometimes
No.
how they tell us it does. Um, I mean, they even we got our headshots put up on Facebook for Miss Collegiate America, and they had to take them down because some people were getting negative reactions. I had somebody laugh at my headshot, like on Facebook, like do like
Lovely.
how you can react
Yeah.
to something. They did
Yeah.
like the laughing reaction, and I noticed some other girls had that too. So it made me feel less alone in that I wasn't feeling as
Yeah.
targeted. But I just thought that was so awful that we're a system that stands for kindness and anti-bullying, and there's people on the internet who still want to get you down because maybe they're insecure with whatever's going on in their own
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah. No, the internet can be a scary place for adults, let
It
alone
can be.
children.
Yeah,
Um,
and
I,
I
I,
teach them about. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I was just going to say, if I was to become a parent and having kids at school, I'd be like, no, I don't want you to have a phone and no social media until, let's say, at least high school, and even then,
Hmm.
I'd be policing it because I've been on social media so much, and frankly, I don't trust it. There are a lot of good people. I think that probably most people, just like in the world, are good heart people at heart, but you only need to meet like the bad, the rotten 1%, and they can do so
Yeah.
much damage. And because they're anonymous, it gives them this courage to say stuff that they would never say to your face. And I think that's really, people don't realize how dangerous that is. Because if I say, like, if you showed me your photo and I laughed at it in your face, there's going to be real consequences,
Yeah.
right? But doing this, and they have anonymous accounts and they put a laugh emoji and they think they're so brave. It's like, you need to stop doing this. Have a look at, as
Hmm.
you said, they won't be doing it. They wouldn't be doing it, I believe, if they were happy with
Exactly.
themselves.
They would not do
it's
it
not
in
it's not
front of
an
you.
excuse, but it's like it's a
Hmm.
reflection on them. If they were happy, they wouldn't spend their time spreading misery. But I
Hmm.
interrupted you. So what were you going to say?
I was telling them, or I was gonna say that I tell these kids too about the effects of cyberbullying, like what you just talked about,
Mm,
that people will just hide behind a screen and say whatever
yeah.
they want to you. When I was in middle school, we had different chat forums that were anonymous. So I think it
Oh
was
yeah.
called like Ask FM, or there was a
Oh
bunch
yeah.
of
That's
them.
still
But
around. That's
yeah, yeah,
so
it's
bad. That
completely
one.
still
Oh,
around. Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's awful, but it just ran rampant through my school where people were so mean. Like, I I don't know what I was expecting when I was 12 and I would post like, "What do you think of me?" Like, leave comments or say something. Like, of course people
No.
are gonna be mean,
Never. Don't do that ever.
Yeah, no, never. But everybody would do it. It just was the thing to do. Ask FM, and it was just a total like place for bullying to begin. I had
Yeah.
new insecurities come up from it where I was like, oh my gosh, I've never thought about myself like that before. Am I really like that? Is my nose really big? Am I
Mm,
ugly? Am I this? Am I that? Do I look like this? So I really agree with you where when I have children of my own one day, I'm really going to crack down on social media
Mm,
because I think, um, before you're a certain age, it's more harm than help. But for our younger girls that are title holders, like we have elementary contestants, their mothers
yeah,
or parents or guardians or whoever typically run
yeah,
their pages. So I think something like that's okay to have something monitored, but having free access, free reign of the internet when you're
yeah.
impressionable and young, I don't always think is super healthy because it can lead to new
Mm,
things. Like with all the anonymous chatting links, it really put I actually got diagnosed with social anxiety when I was 16 and had to start taking medication because of it. Because of all these nasty things that people would say, I would now go to school after that and be like, does everybody really think this about me?
yeah.
Or, are people talking about my back? And in social settings, I just would shut down and I wouldn't
Mm.
want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. Well, I'm exactly the same way. I mean,
Hmm.
this is not just a young girl thing. I mean, I think
Yeah, it's an
social
everybody
media.
thing.
Honestly, if I didn't need it, like it, because obviously it has opportunities, and like we couldn't be doing this, for example, this interview, if it wasn't for social media. But I hate it. I hate it when I get on social media and do the pointless scrolling, where you lose
Hmm.
half an hour of that, because I just feel that's so toxic and unproductive. You never
Hmm.
leave it feeling better about yourself. That's the thing that really strikes me is you always, anyway, the way I feel is that you always leave the internet or the social media feeling a little bit worse about yourself because it engenders
Yeah.
comparison. Like you're looking
Yeah,
at it
it
going,
does.
oh, even if you don't want to, you're like, oh, that person's living their best life and I'm stuck here, or this person achieved that and I didn't, or this person achieved this and they're younger than me, or they're prettier than me, they're skinnier than me,
Hmm.
they're richer than me. But we're all showing, at least most of us are showing. I mean, they call it the highlight reel, right? Like on
Hmm.
Instagram, especially Instagram, TikTok. I think sometimes people try to be a bit more real, but I think social media is just so dangerous, and I don't know if they teach it in school. Like, I just really hope that they would teach the kids something about the potential danger of social media. But
Hmm.
I think a lot of the adults don't really get it because they don't go on social media, so it's impossible for them to teach about it. Um, but yeah, I would cyberbullying. Looking whether it's just in general or the
Yeah.
pageant world or the dance world, it's it's very dangerous. And as you
Yeah,
said,
it
be
is.
kind.
And I've always grown
But
up with social media. So, like you
mm,
said, like some adults I don't think know how to teach it correctly because they don't really know what they're getting into. They haven't
yeah.
seen as much, I think, as my generation has. So I think it's really
Oh,
important,
yeah.
when I'm going into these classrooms to be kind of honest and transparent with these kids about what happens. Because especially when I go talk to like a sixth grade class, they're about to go into middle school, which was
Mm,
honestly the worst years of school of my life. That's where I got bullied the most. It
right.
was my awkward phase, and I just can't, I don't even want to like think about how bad it
Don't
was.
wanna think about it.
So yeah, yeah, it's important to go over with them.
Yeah. I really think, you can't teach about something unless you've been like, unless you have an
Hmm.
expertise in it, and I think most people who are older or adults who don't use social media, you can't teach people about it because obviously we're on it for a reason. There is some benefit that can come from it, and I think moving forwards, you really have to know about it. Like, you couldn't go into business or be successful in this world without really knowing about the internet and social media and how to use it, but at the same time, some way of not policing it, but just self monitoring, because a lot of harm can come from it. And as you said, like ask.fm, when I first saw that, I remember thinking, wow, this is like the ideal bad idea because everyone got to ask anyone whatever they wanted
Anything.
anonymously,
Yeah.
but it was anonymous. That was even the worst part. It's like, wow, this is textbook bad idea because you know what sort of questions people are going to ask, and they did. Um, let me just ask because you got signing the Brave pledge. We talked about Brave a little bit before, but what's the Brave pledge?
So there's a certain curriculum that the Miss High School America organization sort of puts out as a suggestion that we can teach about Brave. Like I said, it stands for Building Respect and Values for Everyone. So they have like a pre drafted out pledge where
Yep.
there's like a top section where I kind of read it to the students, and it's about how even one person can make a difference and how they're promising to, be kind to people, show respect. And then it says "we will" on like the second portion of the page, and I have
Yep.
them repeat after me. And then they sign the pledge and they date their name, or oh my gosh, they sign the
With their
pledge with
name
their name and then they date it.
and the
Sorry,
date. Yeah.
I've had a long day.
You're
I
all
had
good.
work, so I'm like a little out of it.
It's all good.
But yeah, so then they just essentially pledge against bullying. Um, I as much as most of these kids are sweet and wonderful and so eager to learn, I have had a couple that have been a little difficult in the classes I've gone into.
Yeah.
I had on my most recent presentation, that one that you just clicked on, I had a student raise his hand and tell me, actually, I will not be signing this piece of paper. And that was a little bit shocking. I had to kind of come up with how to deal with that in
Yeah.
a respectful way.
Sure.
um, but his teacher said that she would keep the paper in case he changed his mind. So even
Hmm.
with those kids that aren't necessarily receptive to my message, because I know there will
Yeah.
be those, um, I just hope that they can keep me in the back of their mind and what I've said, and you know, my message reigns true that being kind is cool and that it'll get you further in life. But
Mm.
essentially, what I said to this student was, "Oh, I feel really sad for you that maybe want to be mean to your peers, or you don't think
Mm.
it's cool to be kind, because I don't really know how far that's going to get you, further in your
Yeah.
life."
Yeah. I think that's a really important teachable moment. I mean, probably for everyone, because, it'd be easier just to force a young child to sign it, but we shouldn't do that because
Mm-mm.
in this world, I mean, there's so much, cancel culture going on. If you don't, agree with me, then that's it. I mean, I don't really understand. Did he say why, or was he just like being obtuse and just saying, no, I don't want to sign it?
He raised his hand. I kinda didn't really give him room to say why,
Yeah,
just because I didn't want him to influence the other students to be like, "Well, I don't
sure.
wanna sign this, I don't wanna sign this." So
Yeah.
I just like I, said, I just kind of said to him, "Oh, that's really unfortunate. I feel bad for you that you don't wanna sign
Mm.
this," and kind of explained my reasoning why I felt bad for him, and then I said, "Okay, moving on," and then, kept
Yep.
going, answering more questions. And I had
Yep.
another student the day before that too, in 3rd grade, say to me that he will be signing the paper in red because he hates this. So I was like, "Oh, okay." That one too, you kinda just have to, some kids just kinda say whatever's on their mind, so you just kinda have to take it with a grain of
Yeah.
salt and be like, "I can't take this personally, what a little
Yeah.
kid is gonna say to me." But,
No.
the overall impact that I have really doesn't cease to amaze me. Um, Having all these kids raise their hands and want to tell me what defines a bully, or tell
Mm.
me about their experience because they can relate to me, just means so much, because I wish I had a role model like this come into my class when I was younger, because I think it really would have helped how some things went at my school.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with kids a lot. As a tennis coach, I would have holiday camps where we'd have hundreds of children at once, and I'd have to be in charge of them. And we had, teenagers trying to look after the school kids, which was interesting in and of itself. But it's kind of a shame because if someone wanted to disagree for a valid reason, I'd love to discuss it with them, no matter how young they are, because you always want to give them that respect. But
Mhm.
very often, especially if it's young boys, they just want to be obtuse because it gets them attention. They want to be, the too cool for school, and that's a shame because it can influence the other kids um, on such an important message. And I think, yeah, it was the right call not to let them speak too much because they seemed to just not be constructive, just wanting to be difficult, which I had no time for when I was working with the
Yeah.
kids. You learn very quickly when you're dealing with kids who to listen to and when not to listen to them,
Mhm.
because obviously it's important that there's a balance. I just want to ask about this one. So in the background, I don't know if you can see it, but what does being brave mean to you? Were these answers that the kids gave you to that?
Yeah.
Can you just go through? Because I'm really interested to know what some of the answers they came up with were.
So I teach them that brave has a dual meaning. While it means being courageous and standing up for yourself or doing something that scares you, it also is an acronym, and I teach them about what an acronym is,
Yeah.
how each letter of the word represents another word. So building respect and values for everyone. And I kind of just I pass out sticky notes. I do this for older classes. So this was a sixth grade class.
Mm,
Um, so I pass out the sticky notes and I ask them, what do you think when you hear the word brave? Doesn't have to be my definition. It can be, or what have we, I usually do this at the end of the presentation. So I'm like, what have we
yeah.
kind of learned about? So the answers can range from anything to, oh, I did something that scared me today, or I stood up to myself or a bully, to I'm going to be respectful, or this is how
Mm.
I'm respectful, or this is how I'm going to be kind, or what I can do to spread kindness at my school. So the answers really vary, and I actually enjoy reading them a lot because it's very telling on how well I presented to them.
How do you explain like respect to like the younger ones, not the year six ones, but the younger ones? Because kindness, I think it's a bit easier to
Hmm.
explain because don't say nasty things to people. Respect. How do you teach the young ones what respect is?
I definitely use the golden rule for sure, which is, treat others as you'd want to be treated. So with the younger ones, that's kind of what I stick to.
Yeah.
And applying it to, respecting your teachers. And you wouldn't want someone to be disrespectful to you or mess with your
Mm.
things or mess with you. So you shouldn't do it to other people. So that's kind of the guideline that you know, push that out.
I mean, I've just been going through all the photos of you in these schools. You've not worn the same outfit once. You seem to have just talking about your fashion sense. There's a different outfit each time. Do you
Yeah, I
have a
make sure I
particular
wear a
type of?
different one.
But I like it because it's still in this one you're wearing like a dress, and in this one pants. In each one, I mean, it looks like it
It
must have been
depends on the
quite
weather
cold.
too.
I was going to
It
say,
really,
was this a cold
yeah.
day? Yeah.
It was a very cold day. It was actually snowing that day. Um,
Wow.
so we during the spring here in Boise get all kinds of weather thrown at us. We could get windstorms, thunderstorms, snow, an 80-degree day, or anything in between. So we had, I think last Monday, it was 80 degrees outside, or it was 79 or
Wow.
something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next day it snowed. So you really never know what you're going to get here. So that's why in one I'm wearing a dress because it's warm out and I'm like, "Oh, sunshine, spring. I'm ready for the snow to be over." And then the next day I'm wearing a turtleneck sweater and I bring my big puffer jacket over because it's freezing and I can't I can't. And then I don't park my car in a garage too, so it's outside, so I have to defrost it. So I'm sitting there shivering before I'm like going to these presentations, or I'm sweating. So, there's never any in between.
How do you deal with that? The weather sounds a bit psychotic, if I'm being honest.
It is a little bit, but I do like seeing the change in the seasons. I think it's really
Yeah.
beautiful. We have a lot of pretty trees where the leaves change colors, and I don't know, I like change. It does stay sunny here for the most part, which I really do enjoy. I'm from Seattle originally, and I definitely do get the seasonal depression over there, when I'm
Oh
there in
yeah.
the winter for winter
Hmm.
break. So being somewhere where the sun's out, I don't necessarily always mind the cold because I'm into fashion and I like layering and jackets and all
Yeah.
that fun stuff. And I like the change of outfits during the seasons too and the change in activities. I like change all the time, constant, mixing it
Mm.
up. I think it's interesting, keeps my life interesting.
If you like that sort of psychotic weather, then if you ever have a chance to visit Australia, you need to not go to Sydney, but to Melbourne. Melbourne
Okay.
is known for having four seasons in a day. So it can,
Okay.
and you have to dress for it. So you have to layer because it can be hot or
And
cold.
then you're
But then
taking
you
them off
also
and on.
need to bring an umbrella in case. So
Yeah.
I had one day in Melbourne where, and Melbourne and Sydney have this rivalry going on, like which is the best city. It's a friendly
Hmm.
rivalry, but it can be pretty intense. One day in Melbourne, to give you an idea, I was driving back to the airport to fly back to Sydney because that's where I'm from. On the drive there, it was sunny and maybe 80 degrees. Parked the rental, was going to return it. As I got out of the car, thunderstorm. Heavens opened up, dumped on me. It was only like a 50-yard walk to where you have to return the keys. I got absolutely drenched because I thought, oh, it's sunny. I
Oh
don't need an
no.
umbrella. Got
Yeah.
drenched, was freezing because it was gusting wind. Returned, the car, signed the papers, walked out. It was sunny again. So if you
In
like,
like
I
two
just got drenched
seconds.
in that 50-yard walk. If you like that sort of psychotic weather where you never know what's coming next, then visit Melbourne because I think
Yeah.
you'll be right at home. That
I
art of
think that could be a
layering.
reach for me, but yeah, I that's crazy though. I can't imagine that. I like gradual change, not
Oh,
instant.
okay. Okay, well, don't go to Melbourne then, because you never know what you're going to get.
That's
I,
funny.
I well, that's Melbourne for you. But if you do also like layering, that's something I know in the UK, like London,
Hmm.
because that can famously get very cold. But then the buildings are built for it. That's the thing. Not like here. We're not built in Australia for extreme cold, but in London and the UK they are. So they always have the air conditioning on, like heaters.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what will happen is that outside you need to rug up, but then once you go inside, you need to be able to take layers off because otherwise you will boil to death and sweat. So that art of layering is something that I didn't know about until I went to the UK. But it
Yeah.
sounds like you've got that on point. You know how to layer so you can be
Oh
ready for
yeah.
any occasion.
That's definitely how it is here too, especially on campus at Boise State. Excuse me, sorry. Um, I normally walk to class if it's above 50 degrees, but when it's 28 and frozen, I typically drive even though I'm right across the street. So I do have to get good at I put on my puffer. I'm wearing maybe a short sleeve shirt underneath. My puffer jacket keeps me warm up to negative 40 degrees Celsius too. So there's that. Um, yeah. Which it says that on the inside of the jacket. That's why I bought it specifically for Idaho. So I have that over like a short sleeve like t-shirt, and then I take it off
Right.
when I get into class, and then I like sometimes I'll have a scarf or whatever hat I'm wearing or gloves just to keep warm outside if it's freezing like that.
Your jacket says that it will keep you warm up to what, negative 40 degrees, does it, on the inside?
Hmm. Yeah.
Have you tested it? I feel like you should test it.
I
Although
want
you'd
to.
probably
I don't even know if I could get anywhere that's that cold.
I think you'd have to find a restaurant that has a walk-in freezer, and
Yeah,
then
and sitting
you
there for
go
like an
go in
hour.
there, and then, yeah, and then if you don't freeze to death, you'll know that your jacket works because that's very cold. I was
Yeah.
in the Midwest. I was in Wisconsin for work in the middle of their winter, and I thought that was bad. That was negative 20
Hmm.
degrees Celsius
Yeah, that's
outside,
bad.
and the guy was working with, we boiled water, and then you throw the water out of the kettle into the air, and it's so cold that it comes
Hmm.
down frozen. And coming from where I
That's
come from,
crazy.
like that's like boggles my imagination. It's like this is really cool, but it's also freezing cold. Like you go
Yeah.
outside and it hurts. Like you begin
Yeah,
to feel like everything
it
hurts, and then you
does.
feel nothing because you've gone numb. And they were saying like, yeah, you probably see. I thought it was interesting, but they said no, you should probably come inside because apparently it's quite dangerous.
Yeah,
So
you can get hypothermia. And when you start to
yeah,
get hypothermic, you start to feel warm and then you want to shed the layers. So that's where it gets dangerous, is when it's
okay,
that cold that you literally start to feel like you're burning
oh
up.
no,
It's crazy.
okay.
I don't know.
All right. Because we make fun over in Australia of all the people who come over from England because they don't know how to deal
Mm.
with the heat. It's like 20 degrees out and they're all like they're burning to death. But I think it's a reverse with us Aussies. We don't know how to deal with cold. So I think
Yeah.
if I was ever where you're at and it was like negative whatever it is, I wouldn't have any idea how to deal with it. Now I was trolling through your social and one of your posts had 10 interesting facts. So I thought we'd just go through these before we go to the final 10. So we've covered number one. You love sushi and you put love
Hmm.
in all caps. All
All
right.
caps. Yep.
You Number two is you're left-handed.
Hmm. I am left-handed.
Did you know that the ancient Romans thought you guys were evil? The word for left is sinister.
Yeah, I know in like medieval European times they thought that too, and they would like cut off people's hands if you like it was
Lovely.
associated with like the devil or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
They used to think that you had something to do with the devil. I'm glad
Hmm.
that we're not living in that
I know, me
environment
too.
anymore.
I can't help what hand is more comfortable to write with.
Do you ever find it difficult to write as a left-hander? Because like especially on a whiteboard or something
Oh
like
my
that, I
gosh,
feel like
yeah.
you wipe out your own writing as you go. That's got to be frustrating, right?
It's very frustrating. Yes. Especially if I'm in a classroom and I'm trying to write,
Yeah,
I have to make sure there's like a gap between
yeah.
my wrist and the expo marker.
So you have to kind of
Um
like,
And at my work too, we have like a sign that goes outside and we use paint pens to draw on it. So I'm typically doing the drawing because I like to. And
yeah.
so I have to make sure the paint is fully dry before I move on to the next letter or the whatever I'm
Yeah.
drawing, or else I'll just smudge right through it and then I have to start over again.
It just sounds like a pain. Although left-handed
Yeah.
people are supposed to be more creative there's some statistics about like how many geniuses, artistic, creative geniuses, are actually left-handed, and a lot of them are disproportionately. So
Oh, I
that's a
didn't know
plus.
that. That's cool. I'm gonna use that now.
No, look it up. Like a disproportionate number of the
That's
people who've
crazy.
changed our world were left-handed, and
Wow.
they think it might have something to do with the brain is wired, which is why you end up wanting the left hand. But
Hmm.
look it
That's
up. That could
interesting.
come in handy in a pageant
Yeah,
interview. It's like, what
that
do you love
could come
about
in
being
handy.
left-handed?
That's a little fun
Well,
fact there.
yeah. Grew up as a competitive dancer. We covered that. Junior at Boise State University. What are you studying at university?
I'm studying criminal justice currently. I've switched my major a couple times. I was communications.
Hmm.
I thought about going into doing a dance major, but I kind of decided that I was going to put it behind me and just dance recreationally and take classes
Yep.
when I feel that I can, and kind of listen to my body more instead of pushing myself past my limits. But yeah, I was really interested in law for a while because I'm a total true crime junkie. I love Forensic Files, Dateline, 2020. I watch all the mystery episodes. I just find them so interesting. My mom and I used to watch them when I was, I think I started watching them at 13 or 14, just because it was something I was interested in. Like, and I was also interested in what happens to missing and exploited people.
Mm,
So I just kind of wanted to educate myself more on how you can like help with that kind of stuff. But now I've kind of shifted my focus into, I really want to go into commercial real estate. Ever since I was a little girl, my dad owned his own company, and I would sit in his conference room and eat my bag of Cheetos that I brought from home and just think he was the coolest person ever. But looking more into his career, it's something that really interests me. I'm very
mm.
interested in sales and communication. Um, I also really want to either one day own my own commercial real estate firm or go into developing apartment buildings or shopping
Mm.
centers.
That's amazing. If you're
Hmm.
interested in that, I would
Yeah.
absolutely say do that. I don't know how. I mean, obviously you're in university, so I guess finish off what you need to finish
Yeah,
off. But, I
exactly.
know a lot of successful people in real estate. They don't have the formal qualification, and they are wildly successful. But not only
Hmm.
that, they're very competent and confident people. Because in real
Hmm.
estate, obviously, the sales and communication is very, very important. And I feel like going through pageantry, where if we circle back to the beginning of what you were saying, it's like how to present yourself, command a room. That's hugely important
Hmm.
in real estate, particularly commercial real estate, because the numbers are bigger than residential real estate.
Yeah.
And I know a few pageant girls who are very successful real estate agents, not only here in Australia but in America as well. It also affords you the chance to travel if you're doing commercial real estate. So if that's the interest, it
Hmm.
probably has a longer shelf life than that of a dancer. Let's
Yeah,
put it
yeah,
that
and
way.
I'm just trying to finish out my my criminal justice degree.
Yeah,
It would add so much more time onto school if I changed to like
yeah.
marketing or business or something. And I also I've I've always struggled with wanting to do school. I've always been good at school. I can coast
Mhm.
through it, but I
Same.
just I
Yep,
just don't
same.
love it. It's just it doesn't make
I
me
don't get the
happy, and I
point.
think
Yep.
yeah, I think if I was going to try and go to law school and take the bar, I just think I would be so miserable trying to put myself through all this extra school.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I'm very, very excited about starting a career,
Mm,
graduating college, being a professional in some
yeah,
field. So that's really what excites me and
yeah,
keeps me driven to finish school is the
yeah.
chance to work and be in a corporate setting. So I'm very, very interested in that. Yeah, but I always struggled in school, starting in middle school because of bullying too.
Mm,
So I just felt like I kind of got set behind because of some of my teachers weren't really recognizing what was going on, and I would receive poor grades. I even my freshman year of high school, I failed a class because of getting bullied, and then I moved schools. So when I moved
oh, okay.
schools, they caught me back up with what I failed,
Mm,
because I spent so many nights begging my parents not to make me go back to school because I was getting bullied.
mm,
So of course I was so, mentally drained going to school that I just couldn't do anything. I would sleep all the time. I was just so unhappy. But once I moved, I had great teachers that helped push me through and made me realize that college is a possibility for me.
Yeah.
I was always a very gifted student when I was younger. When I was in first grade, I was reading at a 12th grade 11th grade reading level. I finished all the Harry Potter books when I was really little. I was a total bookworm. But
Yeah.
and I was in a gifted program too, which I got pulled out of school once a week to go learn about um, how our DNA is made up or how people build bridges or all these really exciting things. But it just kind of all came to a halt when I started
Mm,
getting bullied because I just couldn't pull myself out of that hole and couldn't focus on school. And I didn't love it anyways. So it just kind of went
yeah.
downhill.
Yeah. Well, I mean, your story sounds similar to myself in terms of, when I was young, I did very well at school. I think my brain is just wired in the way that school teachers like to teach. So I never had any issues with school. I had some bullying, not too bad. But then when I got into high school, which for us here is ages 13 to 18, I just, the bullying got a bit worse, but also I felt like I didn't belong and I wasn't enjoying it.
Mhm.
And I think the thing is, the important thing is, like, you can be good at something, like you could be good at college or university. It doesn't necessarily mean it's the right thing for you. That's
Mhm.
what I found. You sound like someone who loves learning and wants to embrace a challenge. And I
Yeah.
find that a lot of people actually go to college to avoid that. It's like it's not growing up for them. It's like avoiding having to grow up, because growing
Mhm.
up is not, it's not college, right?
Mhm.
It's, you go out into the big bad world and you got to find your own way. And
Mhm.
I know people who would change their majors like 5 or 6 times or do degree after degree. Like, I think one of my friends' big older sister, she had 3 doctorates, but had never
Mhm.
worked like a job a day in her life. And I just think at a certain point, you have to kick yourself out of school and go and face the real world. But it sounds to me like you'd actually embrace that challenge. That's
Yeah,
not something
I'm
you'd be
excited
dreading.
about it.
That's something that you
Mhm.
want to do.
Yeah, and they always teach us too that employers, excuse me, are looking for people with real world experience.
Mm,
It's not necessarily about what degree you have. And I that's why I'm still in criminal justice because it's something that I found that in school I can learn about and actually
yeah.
love doing, and I can be successful with my grades because I
Mm,
really love learning about it. So I
yeah.
always just had a hard time with school because I didn't always love what I was learning and then the bullying on top of it, but I do push out to kids that education is the key to everything. Being
Yeah.
educated and, knowing your surroundings, knowing your environment is so important. So paying attention and doing the best you can in
Mm,
school. You don't necessarily have to be the best student, but trying your
no.
best is I think what's the most important. And I definitely value learning over my grade. So if I
Mm,
can, get a better I guess understanding of what I'm learning, but maybe I didn't get the best grade that I wanted. I would rather have that and take that away so I can, we're paying for this really expensive piece of paper essentially. I would rather, learn something from all these classes that I go to rather than be focused on getting an A on my assignment or getting an A in the class just to
yeah.
pass and to never think about it again. So, yeah,
Yeah.
taking on a
I
challenge, like you said, is important to me.
Yeah. I also think if you sit in front of an employer and you have a face-to-face interview, they'll look at your degree and go, "Yep, okay, you got that noted, and now let's talk." And if you can't
Hmm.
talk within the first 5, 30 seconds, you'll be gone. And I don't think
Hmm.
they really teach that in college, even in a communications degree, maybe like how to necessarily present yourself, which is why I think it's cool that, the pageantry where you're taught how to present yourself. It's a really, really valuable skill, because
Hmm.
that confidence when you're talking to someone is much more important in a face-to-face interview than something that you've written down. I mean, your degree will come down to one line on your resume, won't it?
Yeah.
Basically, bang, that's it. So,
Yeah,
it's important. Education is
it is.
important.
Yep.
Number 5, you have a younger sister named Reese. Is this the one that dressed up as Scooby Doo?
Yes, she is. She
Okay.
goes to University of Massachusetts Amherst. She's a freshman in college right now. She's my best friend. I feel bad that I exposed her as Scooby Doo on this, but it's all out of love. I love her. We're so close. Yeah, she's my best friend. We would always say growing up that we were so lucky to have a built-in best friend. And I think that's
Yeah.
why I love pageant so much too, because me and her were each other's only sibling and we're sisters. And
Yeah.
so the sisterhood with pageantry or my sorority or whatnot, continues. So that bond is really important to me.
Do you two look alike at all?
We do. People used to
Okay.
think we were twins.
Okay. I
Hmm.
just asked that because I have a brother and people always go, "Oh, you look alike," but I'm convinced it's because people know your siblings and they think that you look alike. Um, but okay. Favorite color is purple.
Hmm.
I have a Jack Russell Terrier named Rainy.
Her name's Rainy. She's at my parents' house, but my sister and I got her when we were 12. So now Rainy is, I think, 9 since I'm 21. Yeah, she's 9. And she's just the funniest thing. She is just the weirdest dog, but in the best way. Jack Russells are supposed to be able to jump really, really high. She can't do
Yeah.
that. She won't. I think she's honestly she tries to get
Okay.
us to like pick her up or do something for her. And their
Yeah.
ears are supposed to fold over. Her stick straight up. She was the runt of her litter. She was really small. She's just very like fiery and vocal, but I love her. She loves blankets, so you have to be careful in my house because she burrows underneath a blanket. And so sometimes we'll be like, "Where's Rainy? Like, did we let her out? Did we lose her?" But she's really just burrowed under a blanket. Or you'll sit on her by accident
Oh,
because she's
that's what I was going to
underneath
say.
the blanket, or if you move, yeah,
It's just what you need is sit on your dog.
Yep,
No,
yep. And
that's
she's
great.
teeny too, so
You sure she's a Jack Russell?
yeah, I'm sure. We got
Doesn't
her
sound like a Jack Russell.
from so we had one before her. My dog Beasley growing up, she passed away when I was in 5th grade. Um, we got her from the same breeder. So
Okay.
they were actually related, which is kind of cool too. So
Oh,
Beasley is Rainey's great, I don't know how many greats, but something aunt. I know that for sure.
oh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
kind of cool.
Uh, Number 8, criminal justice major, which we've gone over, with a minor in English literature.
Hmm.
Does that mean that you like Shakespeare?
To a certain extent, I really like learning about I don't know, different periods of literature. We learned about in my American realism class, that was super interesting. We kind of examined like a Civil War lens of literature, which I
Hmm.
thought was interesting. I'd never really like looked into that before. Or
Yeah.
like early colonial America. I thought that was interesting too. But I love reading. So, I thought
Mm.
if I have to do a minor, I love to read. So that was super important to me.
Well, if you could get through the Harry Potter books at that early age, I mean, they
Yep.
weren't thin books. They were like,
No,
500,
I've reread
600
them
pages thick.
too quite a few times. And all the
Did you watch?
movies, yeah.
Yeah. Which one's better, movie or book?
I would say books because I read the
Yeah.
books first and my parents wouldn't
Yeah.
let me watch the movie until I was finished with the book. But the last 2 or 3 Harry Potter movies came out when I was maybe 10, 11, 12. So for the last 2, the Deathly Hallows Part 1 and 2, I
Mm.
went and saw the premiere for both. Which was
Wow.
so
Okay.
fun. Oh my gosh, that
Yeah.
was probably one of the coolest things ever. But yeah, I would say my favorite book is probably the 3rd book, Prisoner of Azkaban, and then my
Hmm.
favorite movie is probably either number 4, Goblet of Fire, or number 6, The Half-Blood Prince. I can't really decide.
I did like the Half Blood Prince. I
Hmm.
also liked, was it Order of the Phoenix? I can't remember which
Yeah,
one
I like that
that
one too.
is.
They're all good, honestly. I had the Half-Blood Prince on DVD and I would like put it in my little TV when I was a kid supposed to be sleeping and watch it over and over and over again.
Back when we had DVDs, I
I
mean,
know,
God,
right?
you can't get DVDs anymore. Everything is
Yeah,
streaming everywhere. Yeah, I miss those movies. I can't actually. I always think of them as, oh, they weren't too long ago, and then you actually think back, and no, they were
10
like, when did
plus
the
years
first
ago.
Harry Potter movie come out?
I think 2001, and that's the year I was born.
Wow,
So
wow,
I know it's so crazy. I nanny for my little cousins. They are 5 and I think 9 or 10. And we were at my grandmother's house for Christmas, and the house has not changed since I was a little kid, and they have one of those TVs with the VHS tape and the CD,
oh
or the
wow,
DVD, I mean, not CD. And
VHS.
so my little cousins thought that was the coolest thing in the whole world. They were like, we want to play on the channels. We want to play on the channels. I was like, what are you guys talking about? And they were so
God.
fascinated with putting the VHS tapes into the TV. And even my little cousin, he when the TV static is going before you like hit the
Yeah.
play, and you have to hit it
Yeah.
on the TV too. There was no remote either.
Yeah.
There was like a little green play button icon in the corner, and he was trying to touch it thinking it was touchscreen, and I was like, oh no, that's not touchscreen. It was funny for sure.
It is funny seeing people who've never seen those. I mean, they're old now, aren't they? VHS. I mean, most people wouldn't know what a VHS is. But yeah, just thinking back there was this. I can't remember who it was, but phones. It's probably this predates you. But phones used to have like a dial on them. Like
Hmm.
you'd need to move the rotor around, and then it would
Yeah.
go back, and then and then and they showed it to like a very young person, probably around about your age actually. And they showed them this old phone, and they got them to try and dial someone, and they couldn't work it out, and they were pushing the holes where the numbers were. They couldn't. They
That's
didn't
so
realize it
funny.
was had to had to do. I mean, it was only like 20 years ago, but
Yeah.
technology has come
I
so
think I've
far.
only seen those phones in like TV and movies. I mean, I would know how
Yeah,
to work it because of that, but that is
yeah,
funny.
yeah. Now number 9 and 10 are to do with your sorority. So number 9 is I'm a member of the Beta Eta. I don't want to
Beta
mispronounce that
Ada,
chapter
yeah.
of Tri Beta Eta or chapter of Tri Delta. And your sorority number 10 has a philanthropic partnership with St. Jude. That's the
Hmm.
children's hospital, isn't it?
Yeah, in
Um,
Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, they do great work. I raised over $600 in just one day for this research hospital, and my chapter raised over 42,000 in March last year. So,
Hmm.
I mean, obviously, I've kept you on for a while, but just briefly tell me about sororities, because this is something that I'm getting more into only because there's obviously a huge crossover between pageantry and sorority. So, those last two, you're a member of Tri Delta, the Beta Eta chapter,
Hmm.
and then you've done this amazing philanthropic work for St. Jude. So, that's got to make you feel
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, I love it. It's so funny. We found out during our recruitment process that the kids at St. Jude know who we are. They know who Tri Deltas are. They call us
Yeah.
the Triangle Girls because the Delta symbol. So it's
Yeah.
like this, which I think is just the cutest thing ever. And it's so heartwarming to hear that, and it really shows that we make a difference in their lives.
Yeah.
Um, but I think joining a sorority my freshman year as a collegiate woman was one of the best decisions I've ever made. I think just like pageants, they get negatively stereotyped
Mm.
um, in a way that I think through TV and movies they're looked upon negatively. When in reality, at my school, we don't have houses here, so I've never had to live in a house. It's just
Yeah.
we meet on campus essentially for stuff. Um, and all of it is philanthropic events. We put on, I believe, three big ones per year. Last year, yeah, we raised $42,000 in a day for an event called K in a Day, which was
Wow.
super fun. Um, and we all got these really cute sweatshirts if we raised over $100, which was fun to take photos in and match. But yeah, you were given like a personal fundraiser link, and then I reached out to family and friends via Facebook,
Mm.
Instagram, and people donated. So it was all through online submissions too, which was so cool
Wow.
that we raised that much money. But then there's other
Yeah.
events too that go towards St. Jude. Like we have a pancake making event called D Hop Delta House of Pancakes, where the girls make pancakes and they sell them for a couple dollars, and then that raises money. And then there's another.
I just lost the audio on you. You. I think you're coming through now.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. I think your
Okay.
headphones just died.
Oh, I think they
If
did
you.
die. That can you is it fine without them?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
fine.
Okay. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Um, now I feel like I like can hear so much like clearer, like hear myself talk
I
better.
was
It's so
going to
funny.
say there is something to be said about headphone fatigue. It's such a first world problem, but when you take these off, it's like, I
I
can
know,
hear
I'm like I
normally
feel
again.
like cleared. Anyways, what was
Actually,
I
you sound better. You sound better without them. I should have got you to take them off before. It sounded almost like telephone voice. Now it sounds a lot clearer. But anyway, you were
that's
talking
funny.
about D Hop. and
Oh, yeah.
build a house of pancakes.
Yeah, so that's a really fun event, and then there's a letter writing event called Sincerely Yours where, we just send out, kinda pre-written page to friends and family to try and get them to donate to St. Jude, which I also actually had involvement with in high school. My high school cheer team, we would go to camp and we would write the same letters and send them out to friends and family because they have a philanthropic plan oh my gosh, philanthropic partnership with St. Jude as well, which I think is super awesome. But yeah, I do always plan to be involved with St. Jude. I hope one day to get to go there as some sort of title holder and get to speak to
Mm,
kids. I think that would be really awesome. If I won the national title, that would definitely be on my list of to dos to speak to these kids about Brave because, these kids are sick and dealing with cancer. And I
yeah,
think that maybe all of them have probably dealt with people not being kind to them, and not being respectful of maybe their medical needs or why they have to leave school or, this, that, and the other. So I really want to get to visit them one day and, maybe kind of get trained on how to speak to these kids and mentor
yeah,
them. And, I think it'd be a really awesome thing.
yeah. I'm really intrigued by the idea of sororities only because it sounds like you get the benefits of pageantry, but it's for
Mhm,
life. Whereas pageantry, you go, you compete, and then it's kind of over, and then it's next year. Whereas sorority sounds more like it can be an ongoing thing that could benefit you, whatever career you go into for the rest of your life. So I think it's a very cool
mhm,
concept. We don't really have it here in Australia at all, which is why been trying to find out more about it because I don't think it exists here at all. So I think it's a great idea. I should have asked. I mean, obviously, when is the pageant coming up? Is it in 2 or 3 months?
Yes, it's the end of June. I leave
End of June,
June 26th, that's like or June 25th, I
few
think
months
that's my
away.
travel day.
Yeah,
Um, and then the pageant concludes, I think, the day before the 4th of July, so the July 3rd, I guess. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I went last year as Miss Washington Collegiate, and so I did that because when I competed for Miss Washington Collegiate, there was only one other person I competed against. I've competed for Miss Idaho Collegiate before, and the first time I ever did it, I competed against 10 girls and I got first
hmm,
runner up. But I didn't let that discourage me. I'm very determined. So no matter how many times it takes me to do something, if I want it, I will go get it. So
yeah,
I didn't place last year at the Miss Collegiate America pageant. Again, I didn't let that discourage me either. It almost lit a fire under me where I was like, okay, now I really want to go do the Miss Idaho Collegiate pageant. I
yeah,
really, really want to come back here because, having the opportunity to be this role model for girls that are just like me, um, is so important. And I think, that Miss Collegiate America is a very relatable person, a relatable title. She
yeah,
speaks for collegiate people just all across, the country, maybe even world, because there's not a further pageant. But
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's just a really awesome opportunity. I love the organization. I love the message that they share. So I just want to continue sharing it for them.
You sound like you're ready for it.
Yeah, I am ready. I'm so excited. And I'm excited to meet all the contestants, make friends too. That's what I love about pageants too, is it's where it's like sororities where you get the sisterhood aspect of it.
Yeah,
So there's girls that are coming back again that I'm very, very excited to see that I've definitely established friendships and connections with. We're all going through this together.
yeah,
It's just at the end of the day, it's someone's year and it's someone's opportunity and maybe it's yours, maybe it's not. So I just think it's
yeah.
important to be happy for other people's success and to support my fellow title holders as well.
Definitely. Sounds like you're excited to go. It'll be also nice weather, hopefully for you. It'll
Mhm.
be summer. Um, I'm just mindful I've kept you on for a while, so I'll just
Sorry, I
quickly
could
get
talk
you this.
forever.
No, no, I don't want to keep you on too long. I want to be respectful of your time. But just before we zip through the final 10 questions, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for supporting you along your journey?
I definitely would like to give a shout out to my dear friend Lily O'Brien. She is probably one of my biggest supporters whenever I am doubting myself, whenever I need wardrobe advice, whenever I just need
a shoulder to cry on if I'm having problems. She's my little text buddy. She goes to University of Alabama right now, so we're unfortunately really
Mhm.
far apart. I met her through the Miss Washington Teen USA system. We met when we were 16, and we always talk about how crazy it is that we're here now. And she's going to get involved with the Miss High School America organization next year. She'll be competing for Miss Washington Collegiate. So, I wish her luck too. We talk about it all the time and, support each other. So I just want to shout her out because I appreciate her so much.
Nice. Okay, let's zip through these final 10. Just random questions. Number
Okay.
1, what is your favorite word?
Ooh, that's a good one. I like the word marvelous a lot. I think it rolls off the tongue nicely. And I like to describe things, with more positive connotation. And I think it's a word that definitely can describe, I don't know, anything like, oh, I had a marvelous day today, or this was marvelous. I don't know. I like saying it. It's fun to say.
It's not a word I get to hear very often. It has so many syllables. Most people be like, "Oh yeah, it was cool. Or it was good," and you're like, "It was marvelous." It sounds much
Yeah, I
more.
like it. I think it's fun to
mu-
say.
Number 2, what is your least favorite word?
I know everybody says this, but I don't like the word moist. It bothers
Moist.
me. Yeah, it bugs me. I feel like that's a generic answer, and I feel like everyone can relate to that, though. It just kind of sounds icky, like something's moist. Like, ugh.
Okay. The only issue I have with that, how do you describe like a chocolate cake that's been baked to perfection and it's just come out of the oven and it's moist, right? That's what you want. You
Okay,
don't want
yeah,
dry
that's
cake.
different,
And you
though.
don't want to describe the cake as wet. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
this is a
it's
lovely
true. You're
wet
right.
cake.
You're right.
So how
Okay,
do
you
you?
got me
So
there.
how do you? I no, I'm just curious. Like, if you don't like the word moist, then what would you use in that setting? Or do you use the word moist when it's okay because it's chocolate cake?
I think I would use it if it's okay because it's chocolate cake, because it's a
Okay,
delicious dessert rather than
okay,
maybe
got it.
something gross and
Yeah,
icky.
okay. But you don't want to go out and say, "Oh, this weather is lovely and moist." That's
Yeah,
not okay.
no. No.
Okay. All right. Uh, Number 3 in
Circumstantial for
life.
sure.
In life, what gets you excited? What turns you on?
Having the impact of my title really gets me excited. It motivates me. When there's days where I don't want to get out of my bed, or put on makeup or do something that I don't want to do. I tell myself, Halle, you're Miss Idaho Collegiate America. You've come so far, and I never thought I would be doing something like this today, because I never really had the confidence to do it.
Hmm.
So, reminding myself that I have that impact and I have that voice and that platform really, really keeps me going. And it motivates maybe thinking about 6-year-old me who never thought she could do something like this.
Number 4, what turns you off?
Ooh. People who aren't honest. I don't like dishonesty. I'm a very straight up and real person. I'll tell it how it is. My friends always ask me for advice on things, like, for example, what they're wearing. I will not be the type of person to lie to you and be like, oh my gosh, that's so cute when it's not, you know? So, people who are honest are really, really important to me. And I like to surround myself with people who have integrity and, show those characteristics.
Number 5, what sound or noise do you love?
Oh, I love the sound of birds chirping because I think it kind of subliminally takes me back to, being a child and, waking up in
Mhm.
the summertime and having no responsibilities and just getting to go to the pool and swim and eat ice cream all day. So whenever I start to hear the birds chirping during the springtime, it makes me happy. It makes me want to get out of bed and be productive.
Number 6, what sound or noise do you hate?
Oh, sorry, I might need a sec to think about that because there's so many.
There are so many
Oh.
noises that you hate.
Yeah, I don't like the really high frequency noises that can happen accidentally if you're changing a radio station. Do you know what I'm talking
Mhm.
about? Like the really
Yeah,
high pitched noises. I don't like that. I also don't like I can't pick just one. I don't like the nails on the chalkboard sound,
yeah,
or
yeah.
like a fork scraping the bottom of a ceramic bowl or plate. That one, I don't like that either. There's more, but I'll save it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'm
Number
sensitive to
7.
all of it.
If you could have any one superpower, what would you pick and why?
I have always had dreams about flying ever since I was little, so I've always wanted to be able to fly, and obviously that is so unrealistic, but I think that'd be the coolest thing ever if I could just instead of driving my car to work, I could just get up and fly if there's, like, nice weather or something, or if I could just if I was, like, super fast at flying, I could just, like, teleport to, like or not teleport, but, like, fly to Hawaii or, like, fly to Florida or somewhere with a beach, good weather.
I like how you said it's unrealistic. I mean, it's supposed to be unrealistic. It's a superpower. We're
Yeah,
not
yeah,
looking for
that's you're right,
realism.
you're right.
uh, no, that's that. Yeah, I've had dreams about flying as well. It's been like a
Kinda
recurring dream.
thrilling.
Not, yeah, and I always wake up really disappointed that no, actually, I can't do that. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
Um, Number 8. What job would you most like to attempt?
Like, career path?
Hmm.
I know we had kinda covered it before, but, I really would like to go into commercial real estate because it fulfills, I guess, a lifelong childhood dream of mine to be just like my dad because he basically raised me throughout high school. I lived with him, and he's one of my best friends. So I just really look up to him. But if it's not necessarily a professional career, I really do want to try out for an NFL dance team. I hope to move back to Seattle after completing college here, and I would
Yep.
really, really like to try out for the Seahawks dance team. I think that would be the most fun job, or even like I watched the Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders show where they do the
Yeah.
tryouts and all that, and I just think it's so cool being able to perform for that many people because obviously doing pageants, I love being on stage and dance and all that.
Yeah.
So being able to perform for a whole stadium would be the coolest thing ever.
Number 9. What job would you definitely not like to attempt?
I as much as I've been in this, sort of teaching role, with Brave, and as fun as it would be to be a teacher, because I do love, students and having that impact and on
Yeah.
impressionable kids, I just don't think I could do it. I really applaud teachers for being as
Mm,
amazing as they are. I think they're definitely underappreciated, underpaid. They go through so much, like, just how I talked about earlier, having, a kid have a negative reaction in front of the whole
yep.
class. I can't imagine having to, deal with a behavioral issue for the whole year and
Mm.
having to keep your composure and be really, really, you know, just put together. And I again, I applaud teachers as much as a fun job it would be. I don't think I could do it for that long.
It takes a very particular type of person
Mhm.
with a particular
Yeah.
type of temperament, someone who's very, very patient. Let's
Mhm.
just say that. Final question: if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I would like him to tell me that I get to see all my family members and loved ones and pets that have passed. It would really mean a lot to me to be able to have, God, or when I arrive at heaven to be able to talk to my grandma again. She just
Hmm.
passed in November. So if he could tell me that she's been looking out for me, that would really mean the world. I think about her all day, every day. For real. She used to text me all the time and support me like no other. So, getting to have the opportunity to hear from her again would just, be awesome.
Yeah. Parents are one thing, obviously, but grandparents, it's just something else. I lost both my grandparents fairly young, which was a shame. But yeah, grandparents they don't have to discipline you as much. That's what I found. So they get to be kind to you and give you all the things that your parents don't want to know about, like all the
Mhm.
chocolate or the
The ice
toys and the
cream,
stuff.
candy, yep, all that good stuff. Yeah, but it was definitely hard losing her, right after I got crowned. She fortunately, though, got to see pictures and all that of me
Yeah.
winning, Miss Idaho Collegiate, but the hardest thing I think I've had to do being a title holder was she had passed away,
Mm.
um, the night before I had a news interview in the morning for,
Oh,
winning
okay.
my title, so I was it was really, really hard to get up that day, but I knew that she would be the first one to watch me on the local Idaho news or go on the website and be the first one to share it with everybody and all my family members. So it was really important to me that, I stayed strong and was fulfilling my role as a title holder for her.
Well, I really respect that. That's not easy to do. I had a similar situation where my sister passed away and I had to go back to work the next day in front of kids. And kids, can be pretty, as you know, pretty
brutal.
merciless at the best of times. And parents can sometimes be difficult. And you just pick yourself up and you do what you got to do. But I guess that's part of being an adult, and certainly being part of a title holder and role model, which is important to you, is, no matter how tough things are for you, you've got to try and keep it together for everyone else because eyes are on you. But yeah, that's I'm sorry to hear that, but kudos to you. That's a lot of respect there. That wasn't an easy thing to do, I'm sure. But Halle, it's been a pleasure chatting to you for almost an hour and a half. I know. Didn't mean to keep you on this long.
Went by really quick.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, and I still love that sign in the background, Babe Cave. I need to get something.
This way. There we go.
Talking about
I'm
the
still
mirroring
getting confused on the mirroring.
Don't worry, I've been doing this for 3 or 4 years, and I still get confused when I point that way and it goes the other way. But it's been a pleasure getting to chat to you. Best of luck at your pageant in a couple of months, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I'll keep you on the line for just a sec whilst I hang up with the audience. But thanks everyone for watching, whether it's live or on the replay, and we will speak to you next time. Bye for now. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Sorority Access is now open. So if you'd like to join an amazing group of women and learn how to be the most powerful, confident, and impactful queen possible, head to thepageantsorority.com. I'll see you there and see you in the next video.